Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take a whole stack of incredible sources and pull out the most important bits of knowledge and insight, really, just for you.
That's right.
And today we're diving into a really fascinating mix. We've got some raw, like unfiltered conversations from a popular radio show.
Yeah. Listener call-ins. Always interesting.
Definitely. Plus, insights from an R&B icon on the music biz, some wisdom from a best-selling author about, controlling your mindset.
And lessons from a legendary basketball coach, too. Really profound stuff.
Exactly. So our mission today is basically to explore how people navigate, well, intense personal challenges, big career shifts, and that journey of self-discovery, sometimes in the public eye, sometimes behind the scenes. Okay, let's dig in.
All right, so we'll kick off by looking at the candid realities of personal lives. The stuff that often plays out very publicly or maybe digitally.
Right.
And we're drawing this straight from those listener call-ins.
Right, like that call from Monique, the dramatic on-air breakup.
Oh, yeah. That was something. She specifically asked Joseph to just leave her alone right there on the radio.
And she went into details. Alleged cheating, multiple partners.
And even health concerns. Things like a yeast infection and chlamydia, which, the original hosts kind of glibly called razzle-dazzle.
Yeah, that term. It felt a bit off, didn't it?
It really highlights the complexity of sharing such intimate stuff on public radio and the health implications just hanging there.
It's a stark example for sure. Pulls back the curtain on how people sometimes use these platforms, maybe out of desperation, to deal with really personal issues.
Makes you think about the boundaries.
And then there was Kelsey from Atlanta. Remember her? Talking about the online dating scene there.
Oh, yeah, the challenges in a new city. She mentioned dodging undercovers, deal men, princesses, and studs. Specific terms for, dynamics in certain online dating circles.
Right. And she told that story about doing her, quote, due diligence on a guy.
Looked him up on Instagram, LinkedIn. Seems normal enough.
But then after like a week of chatting, he just blocked her. Poof.
Which immediately made everyone, Kelsey and the hosts, speculate. Right. Is he hiding something big? Like maybe he's gay or bi or has a whole other family somewhere.
Exactly. And it underscores how these digital footprints, they're supposed to offer transparency, but they can actually fuel suspicion.
Totally. It creates these intense expectations in online dating. What aren't they showing you?
It's that what you don't find part that becomes key. Adds this whole other layer of complexity, doesn't it?
It really does.
And shifting gears a bit, we also had that quick call from Uber Mike.
Oh, yeah, the entrepreneurial pitch.
Right, calling Charlemagne, asking about joining the Black Effect podcast network for his ride-sharing safety podcast.
Yeah, and he dropped his stats. 7 years, 25,000 trips.
Yeah, just a little glimpse into how people try to network directly, sometimes pretty boldly, in the media world.
Got to shoot your shot.
So, when you put these calls together, what does it all mean for you, the listener?
Well, I think these stories, whether it's a desperate plea or a business pitch, they show how we're all grappling with privacy, our digital selves.
Yeah, and how these public platforms can, amplify vulnerability or sometimes create unexpected chances. It's really about how we navigate those public perceptions, isn't it?
That is a perfect segue, actually, because now we're going to pivot to the professional journey of R&B singer Tank.
Tank, okay.
Yeah, his insights give us a real deep dive into the music industry, podcasting too, and pursuing totally new career paths.
He's really passionate about R&B, isn't he, with his R&B Money podcast?
Hugely. And he's a big advocate for a dedicated R&B awards show. He feels the current shows, like the Hip Hop Awards, just don't cover R&B properly. Says it's too vast and nuanced.
He's got a point. He mentioned those category issues, right? Like Chris Brown and Robert Glasper in the same Best R&B Album category.
Yeah, exactly. He draws this line between what he calls progressive R&B. Think Drake, Party Next Door, Chris Brown, and traditional R&B.
Like Jill Scott, Summer Walker.
Angie Stone, Calvin Richardson, yeah. His argument is you need more specific categories. Songwriter, producer, performance.
Makes sense. Is he just talking about it, or?
No, he's actually doing something. He mentioned talking with Valentine, Jesse Collins.
Yeah.
Even possibly getting iHeart involved.
Wow, okay, so he's serious.
Very.
Yeah.
And what's also fascinating is his take on industry control. He feels like corporate analytics, the data, can actually stifle artists.
Also.
Well, he brought up examples like D'Angelo's Untitled or Joe's I Want to Know. He thinks maybe those songs wouldn't have blown up if the labels hadn't given them time beyond just the first single's performance.
That's a really powerful point about creative freedom versus just chasing the numbers.
Hmm. And he shared a personal story, too, about his first single, Freaky.
Oh, yeah, what happened?
He said it almost destroyed his career. The label picked it, and he said the early feedback was that it was just whack.
Ouch. So what did he do?
Had to pivot fast to Maybe I Deserve.
Hmm.
And, well, we know how that turned out. Huge hit. Launched his career.
So that story, it really shows the struggle, doesn't it, for artists to stay authentic?
It absolutely does. It's about recognizing when you need a new stage, even if it means leaving success behind. And speaking of new stages, he's making a hard pivot into acting, Broadway, in 2025.
Broadway, wow. That's a big shift.
Huge. And he admitted he'd heard horror stories, the workload, the pay, even the facilities. He was hesitant.
So what changed his mind?
Alicia Keys.
Yeah.
She called him personally for her play, Hell's Kitchen.
Alicia Keys called him.
Okay.
Huh?
He decided to watch the play first, and he said he just fell in love with it.
Did he have much acting experience before? Seems like a leap of faith for her, too.
Well, he kind of joked he's the Denzel of that space for Lifetime, BIT, TV on.
Yeah.
So he's done some acting. But apparently Keys cast him based on a feeling.
That's pretty cool, trusting her gut.
Definitely. And the commitment is intense. He described this machine-like daily routine. Cardio, gym, studio, family time. Then performing 8 shows a week for 13 weeks.
Whoa, that's a grind.
Serious dedication. He's determined to deliver a great performance every single time.
So Tank's whole journey, it really shines a light on that clash between artistic vision and industry pressure and what it takes to reinvent yourself, right? Even after you've already made it big, connecting that to the bigger picture. It's all about adaptability, isn't it? Trusting your gut, finding your authentic voice, even when, like, the data says otherwise.
That's a great point. And building on that idea, navigating pressure, staying true to yourself, our next set of insights comes from Mel Robbins.
Ah, the best-selling author. Okay.
Yeah, focusing on mindset, self-perception, how we handle external influences. She's very direct about her success. Says it's the result of 15 years of boring, grueling, daily reps.
15 years, that really pushes back against the whole overnight success myth.
Totally. She emphasizes patience and doing the things you don't feel like doing in the dark.
I like that. And she has that mantra, right? I refuse to believe that this is how the story ends.
Powerful stuff. It speaks to sheer persistence. And she even says, keep going even if you think you're not good at something yet. Because every experience is leading you somewhere and teaching you something. Maybe patience, maybe self-belief.
So if someone listening feels stuck, what's the core takeaway there?
I think it's that persistence isn't just about being tough. It's about learning from everything, the good and the bad, and using it to fuel that next step. And that leads right into her famous let them theory.
Right. Explain that again.
Okay, so the core idea, which she said she realized at 54, is basically stop wasting your life on things that you can't control. It sounds simple, almost like the Serenity Prayer.
And how do you actually use it?
It's super practical. When you feel stressed or annoyed by someone else's actions or mood, you just tell yourself, let them. Like, let your mom be in a bad mood, or let them misinterpret my email.
Huh. So just let it go.
Pretty much. She says it helps you realize how much energy we waste trying to manage what other people think, and that your real power is in your response.
Okay, I get that. It's not about being passive, but about choosing where you put your energy. Reduces stress, maybe helps you make better decisions.
Exactly. Stops you from, as she puts it, emotionally vomiting on the people you care about just because someone else stressed you out. It's about taking back your agency.
Agency, yeah. She also had that interesting take on imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah. It's a bit controversial. She doesn't see it as self-doubt. She calls it ambition.
Ambition, how does that work?
Her point is, if you feel like an imposter, it means you actually care about succeeding in that situation, in that room. And that feeling motivates you to learn what you need to learn. It reframes it as a driver, not a weakness.
That's a really different way to look at it. I like that.
Me too. And on a maybe lighter note, she also talked about warm connections.
What are those?
Simple acts of kindness, like leaving a public bathroom cleaner than you found it, or just thanking the cleaning staff. Small interactions with strangers, or weak ties that she says make us feel human again.
Those little moments of connection, they do matter, don't they?
And she was also really open about her own struggles. Self-hatred, self-criticism, stemming from undiagnosed dyslexia, ADHD, childhood trauma.
Wow. How did she overcome that?
She believes it starts with a single decision, realizing how I'm living my life right now no longer works for me. That one moment can be the domino that starts everything changing.
Drawing a line in the sand.
Exactly. And she also stressed how parents' self-treatment impacts their kids. Profoundly. She wrapped up with that belief. God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called.
So Mel Robbins is really urging you, the listener, to think about where your energy and power are going. It's about realizing your internal peace is within your control, regardless of the chaos around you. Personal agency as a superpower.
Well said. And shifting from that inner mindset to outward leadership, our final segment looks at Dawn Staley.
The legendary coach? Okay.
Yeah. Drawing lessons from her life, her book Uncommon Favor, basketball, family, personal growth. And she has this really unique view on growing up in the Raymond Rosen housing projects.
Unique is one word for it. She called it the best decision my parents made, right? Which is surprising.
It is. But she explains it gave her the scars, the chinks in the armor she needed for success. It fostered unity, discipline, made her unbothered and unafraid.
So turning adversity into a foundation, finding strength where others might only see hardship.
Precisely. And she's candid about needing conflict to stay driven.
Needs conflict, really?
Yeah. She mentioned her dad refusing to let her play on an out-of-state team when she was a kid. And even recent criticism after a loss to UConn, she says that fuels her belief. The most growth takes place when you're uncomfortable.
Fascinating insight into, an elite competitor's mindset.
And as a coach, her approach is incredibly connected, non-judgmental.
Yeah.
She talks about the joy she gets seeing players graduate, get drafted, succeed beyond basketball. She's invested in them as people.
And that story about Anja Wilson.
Oh, yeah. So special. Aja was the first #1 recruit to choose South Carolina, back when they weren't a championship powerhouse yet.
Big gamble for Wilson.
Huge. And apparently, Aja struggled initially. Staley even called her a scrub at one point, but she told Aja's parents first. That level of transparency.
Wow.
Respectful.
Totally. And Aja overcame dyslexia, partly by reading aloud to the team. Staley created this environment of trust where players felt safe enough to be vulnerable, to tackle personal challenges. That's real mentorship.
Absolutely. Staley also had that crazy period coaching temple while still playing in the WNBA.
Yeah, for 6 years. Can you imagine?
No. How did she even manage?
She said it made her a more understanding coach because she was always fresh with insights right from the court. Gave her a unique perspective.
That's tough. And what about player transfers? How did she handle that? It's so common now.
Her stance is pretty accepting. She mentioned Malaysia, for W specifically, said she has much love for players who leave, wants them to be happy, but her advice is don't look back, and she immediately moves on to recruiting.
Kind of like, what's for us is for us. No dwelling.
Exactly. It shows her resilience, that forward focus. It applies to her leadership style, too, not just the players. And she commented on the Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese rivalry, too, right?
She did. Called it great for our game because it treats women's basketball like a sport. Brings in new eyes.
Interesting take. Not shying away from the hype.
Right. But she hopes those new fans will then open their eyes and see all the other incredible talent and the quality of the game beyond just one rivalry.
Yeah, use the hype to lift the whole league. Makes sense.
So Dawn Staley's journey, it really shows the power of resilience, doesn't it? Strength from adversity, the impact of mentorship, how challenges can become your biggest assets.
Definitely. Wow. So today we've covered a lot. This deep dive took us from messy public relationships to the pressures of the music biz,
Mastering your mindset with Mel Robbins.
and then embodying leadership through adversity with Dawn Staley. We've seen all these different ways individuals tackle challenges, define their own success, find purpose.
And it seems like whether it's personal stuff or professional ambition, that common thread is resilience, right? Self-awareness, adaptability. These stories give us so many insights into understanding ourselves and maybe the world around us a little better.
For sure. So as you listening reflect on all this, here's maybe a final thought to chew on. It's a quote. Nothing that's for you will require you to act out of character to get it.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It raises a question, doesn't it? What does it really mean to stay authentic while you're chasing your goals, especially when everything seems to be pulling you in different directions?
Yeah. How do you hold on to yourself?
Exactly. Well, we hope this deep dive has given you a bit of a shortcut to being well-informed, maybe some surprising facts, and just enough interest to keep you hooked.
Yes. Only thing that I'm worried about, punch one of these pussy ass niggas in they mouth. Then they film and they'll upload. The suckers do anything for that clout. They'll trick you out of your position if you ain't gained up and you ain't here watching out. Internet bloggers, internet gangsters, who the snitch? I can't tell. On the dead homies and enemies podcast, the only podcast that I know won't tell. But I ain't tripping, I just pay attention to my own little business and I get the smell. I'm in another state, making another plate. Big plat place on my state. A plush hotel, just counting mail. I do this shit and I do it well.